And we are live from Mexico and Vivo, as they say here, episode number 19. Hopefully you guys are having a great Thanksgiving out there. I'm your host, Jake Liker. It is currently 9:57 here in Cabo, Mexico. Special night, of course, our first international episode, if you will. And, it's kind of late here. I had to kick my family out of the room, and they're going to kill me or cut me off halfway through the show. So we're going to have to go quickly, but don't worry, we're not going to lose any of the great material we usually have here, but things will be going faster than normal tonight. And speaking of changes from normal, it's good to switch things up. Sometimes things happen. But you know what? He's still a pro. He's been here before, and if he doesn't know sports, no one does. So please welcome tonight's co-host, my good friend Jared Bacon. Jared, how are you doing?
Doing great, Jake. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, it's going to be a great show after, a great day of college football and all other sports. But that Iron Bowl, unbelievable. I'm literally screaming at the TV, jumping up and down when the room service guy walks in, and I had a 5-minute conversation in Spanish about the history of the Iron Bowl. So that was fun and some good practice as well. Of course, we do have to start tonight on a sad note. Paul Walker of the Fast and Furious franchise did just die earlier today in a car crash. He was just 40 years old. It's not exactly sports related, however. It did just happen. A lot of people are sad about it, so just wishes for him. And another sports-related death, a former Hawaii and Washington running back was found dead on a beach today in Hawaii. Very sad story. You don't really want to start off shows on the sad note, but sometimes it's just the right thing to do. So rest in peace to Paul Wilson and Willis Wilson, and of course of the Fast and Furious franchise. Just 40 years old. It's really sad. Paul Walker, what a shame. But we do have other stuff to talk about. Thoughts and prayers for them. It's going to be college football, NFL, college basketball, NFL, college football, and then the NBA tonight. Before we go any further, this is Rookies Roundup. Please make sure you like our Facebook page. I will be getting a Twitter soon if I can bring myself to get it. Like our statuses, share our page. The more people to listen, the better. Of course, we're a member of National Sports. None of this is possible without the National Sports Network. So please like their Facebook page, National Sports Network. On Twitter, at all caps National Sports 1, and on Instagram, National_Sports. Normally, this is the part where I beg you guys to call in, but this time, thanks to some crazy overseas charges and whatnot, you can't. So, hopefully you're not too disappointed, but you can still, of course, always leave comments and whatnot, and I will get back to you and talk about them on the next show. Finally, we get to start the show, and finally we get to talk about college basketball. It has been a long time since we have, but a lot of stuff has been going on. Jared, Kansas and Duke both struggled in their tournaments this week, and, who do you think signs look worst for?
I think signs definitely look worse for Kansas because Wiggins hasn't really played up to his potential yet. As for Duke, Jabari Parker has just played out of this world. I think up until his most recent game, 20-plus points, 6-plus rebounds, he's just been a monster, all-around beast for Duke.
Kansas's wins haven't exactly been the most convincing. While, yes, they did beat Duke, as of late they struggled. They were only able to defeat Wake Forest by 9 points. They lost to Villanova by 4 tonight. They barely pulled away with a win over the Miners of UTEP, University of Texas, El Paso, 67-63. And their rebounding has just been atrocious. Currently, they're 120th in the nation. And, you really do need to have your stars performing, whether it's college or pro. That superstar effect really seems to take its effect most in the sport of basketball. But, of course, Andrew Wiggins has been unbelievable, but, this is a talented freshman class. Do you think that he's performed the best of all the freshmen, or is somebody else on top?
No, I got to go with Parker right now as the best freshman. He's just played so well. There's no one really that can compete with him.
You know, they pride themselves a lot on their basketball in Duke, but you know, their football team stepped up too. Finally, they're going to be moving on to the ACC championship game. However, Duke's losses have come against two very good teams, Arizona and Kentucky. Kansas. Now, on one hand, you could say that, you know, they're great teams, they're acceptable losses, but on the other hand, you got to think, you know, what is the problem with them in these big games? And it's not going to get easier from here. They're playing number 22 Michigan December 3rd. They have a break of almost 2 weeks before they play Gardner Webb, and then they play against UCLA in Madison Square Garden. And again, rebounding seems to be a problem. They are 290th in the country in rebounds per game, although all of their stats are looking okay. And you know, with Mike Krzyzewski at the helm, things will be okay, hopefully. And now it's time to introduce a new segment to the show, Cinderella Diaries. You know, when you go to a bunch of UCLA basketball games, you don't exactly see the greatest teams play. But it's always nice to find a diamond in the rough, and we found one this year. How about the Drexel University Dragons, head by Coach Bruiser Flynn? Great guy, a lot of passion, not afraid to get in his team's face. And you know what? They're showing that they have the heart to play. They nearly beat Arizona in a nail-biter. Arizona did come away with the 66-62 win. They defeated Alabama in triple overtime. Yes, triple overtime, 85-83. Drexel might just be a team to watch when it comes to busting brackets in March. You know, rebounding seems to be their strong suit. Well, on paper, they're not exactly the greatest team. They seem to find a way to perform. They're showing that they can come through and win games with really talented players. Now, you've got guys like Fouch and Massenat. Chris Fouch, of course, the senior guard out of New York. His last ride, you know, these guys could really find a way to show up. So, Drexel Dragons, keep your eye out on them. Jared, you know, you've got your Kentuckys, you got your Dukes, you got your Kansases. Who's that team that might surprise people late in the season? Like, they can still be ranked, not as low profile as Drexel, but still, guys who can make some waves.
I'm probably going to have to go with, I think, Memphis. Memphis, I think, is 21st right now. They've got a solid team. They can compete with almost anyone. And also UCLA, too. UCLA is a little bit underrated. They've played really well to start out the year. And no one can take that away from them.
Yeah, they haven't played the greatest opponents, but still Winslow wins, and Zach LaVine has been incredible. This is an electric team to watch. Here's my team, a team that I've sort of hopped on their bandwagon a couple of years ago, the Iowa State Cyclones. This team is scary. They've already beaten Michigan this year. They love shooting their three-pointers. They're probably the most exciting team to watch in all of college basketball. They are currently in the top 10 in points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game, and they're 22nd in the country in field goal percentage. They're just such a great team to watch. They are a scary team to play. They had 2 close games last year against Kansas, just to name a few. They are an upset-minded team, and teams that can shoot threes and gain momentum very quickly are especially dangerous when it comes to these big one-done games. Because if you pull away and you don't look back, you can beat anyone. Guys like Melvin Ejim and DeAndre Kane can really lead this team to a higher place. And of course, Oklahoma State isn't exactly under the radar, but watch out for them too, as well as UMass. But as promised, we do have to move things along here. So again, more college basketball coverage coming in the future, but we want to talk about everything. So we are going to move on to the NFL. Me and football have a so-so relationship right now, at least in the professional level. After just a game on Thanksgiving between the Packers and the Lions that was just atrocious. I don't think I've ever seen the Packers play that badly in a long, long time. Maybe ever, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Things are starting to shake up. So, with that first topic, is there still hope for the Packers? Mike McCarthy said that they need to win out. If they go 9-6-1, will that be enough for them to make the playoffs?
I think that it will be enough to make the playoffs, but it's all about the health of Aaron Rodgers. They just cannot win without Aaron Rodgers. They should be lucky that they tied against the Vikings. Without Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, who they built their team around, they're not the same team. Sure, Eddie Lacy's a solid running back, but Eddie Lacy can't give you 150 yards and carry your whole offense. They need a quarterback to be able to show that they can throw the football, not just run the football.
Yeah.
And I think they do have a chance to play out, but it's all going to rest on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders and his health. If he can come back, I think they can win out.
Yeah, this is quite literally on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders. He is targeting a return for the next game against the Atlanta Falcons, which was supposed to be on prime time, but was flexed out for the Saints-Panthers game. There are certain things that need to fall into place for them. To be honest, I think that it's more likely for them to it's more likely for them to get into the division. I don't think that's happening, though, and I think there's a way that things come out in the wild card. Certain things need to happen that seem kind of obscure. The Panthers need to fall apart. And it could very well happen if the Ryan brothers come through. Carolina plays against the Saints twice in their final 4 games. They play against Atlanta in the final week in Atlanta, and Tony Gonzalez's last game. Hopefully there's enough heart in Atlanta for the Falcons to pull off that win. And the Jets coming into Carolina. Such simple things, little things that you have no idea can affect your team, really can play a lot. For example, the week before the Jets play against the Panthers, maybe the Raiders will need to go into New York and beat the Jets to get them angry and play a little more desperate in Carolina. Who knows? Anything can happen in the NFL. That's why you play the games. And it's why it's such an exciting sport to watch. And again, we could see a lot of surprises. There are ways for the Packers to make it. I'm definitely clinging to some hope, but it's not looking good. Especially, clearly there is a depth issue with this team. Just because they don't have their quarterback, they are just falling apart, and that's a problem. Speaking of problems at the quarterback position, the Houston Texans, in ESPN's most recent power rankings, they were put last. I've been a supporter of Matt Schaub, and I think that these days in all sports, it's too much about what have you done for me lately. I feel like Matt Schaub has proven himself. He's healthy. He should be starting for this team, and yet Case Keenum is at the helm. They continue to struggle. So the question is, should the Texans give Case Keenum reins of this team, or do they have to give Matt Schaub another chance?
I think that right now, they're 2-9. They've lost 9 games in a row. I think for the rest of the season, put Keenum in the game and see how he plays out, because that will affect their decisions in the offseason, whether they want to get rid of Schaub or keep Keenum as their starter. I think if they let Keenum play these last 5 games, he'll show them what he can do and let them make a decision in the offseason.
Finally, some disagreement. Listen, Matt Schaub has been the head of this team. There's a lot of talent on this team, but make no mistake, in football, it lies on the quarterback's shoulders. Otherwise, we'd see teams like the Minnesota Vikings regularly making the playoffs. Matt Schaub is still a playoff quarterback. He has the experience, he's proven himself there, and just because of some unfortunate pick sixes earlier in the season, now he's just done forever. In Houston, it's ridiculous. It's not fair to him at all. There's no reason that they should be testing to see if Case Keenum pans out. Matt Schaub has already panned out. He has already led this team to the playoffs. Has he found too much success in the playoffs? No. But you have to give him more and more chances. Case Keenum is not going to lead you to a Super Bowl. Matt Schaub is more likely, agree or disagree, Matt Schaub is more likely to lead your team to the playoffs, to a Super Bowl than Case Keenum. If I said Tom Brady's retiring and the Patriots can only have either Matt Schaub or Case Keenum, would you actually tell me that you would rather have Case Keenum?
No, I would not. I'd have to go with Schaub as well. But I think that for this season, there's no reason just to leave Schaub in there. Give Keenum a chance. See what he can do. You never know unless you play him.
Yeah, correct. And they have played him, and they have continued to lose. Listen, they're losing games. I think it was. I'm going to actually take one from Albert Einstein's playbook, saying, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's what he described as insanity. They continue to put Keenum in, and he continues to disappoint. I root for Case Keenum. I like him, and I think it's really cool that he went to college at Houston. Now he's playing at Houston, but right now there's no reason Matt Schaub should be sitting on the bench. But either way, Houston is having some serious problems in football. Speaking of some more quarterback controversy, how about the Philadelphia Eagles? Michael Vick is healthy, and yet Nick Foles has been announced to be the starter of this team for the rest of the season. Good move or bad move?
I think it's a good move. Foles has been playing really well, especially compared to Vick. Vick has not played well, but Foles really has. He's stepped up when he's been called upon. He hasn't really done anything wrong for the Eagles. I mean, they are winning games. And Foles this year, he's thrown 16 touchdown passes with no interceptions. And Michael Vick's main problem is turning the ball over, and Foles is not turning the ball over, and that's huge, especially when they're running this high-tempo offense where they need the offense on the field and not turning the ball over. Otherwise, their defense is going to tire out because the defense is going to be on the field so much.
Here's the thing. I like the move with Foles because Vic does turn it over too much, but no matter who's at quarterback, this team needs to start winning games at home. Normally, the problem for teams is winning games on the road. Right now, Philadelphia is 5-1 on the road, and they are 1-4 at home. That is how bad Philly fans are. They are so mean that you don't want to win in front of them at this point. You have to win at home in this league if you want to make it. You have to win on the road, but you have to win. You have to protect your turf. Because otherwise, at this point, they're better off just going for a wild card spot. You have to win at home. It's as simple as that. You're getting more of an advantage here, and you have to take advantage of that. Because in the NFL, you have to take advantage of every single opportunity you get. And Kevin Sumlin certainly saw an opportunity on Thursday night. Great game between the Steelers and the Ravens came down to the wire. Baltimore came away with the win. Jacoby Jones was returning a kick for the Ravens, and it looked like he'd go all the way for a touchdown, and Kevin Sumlin seemed to be standing in his way. Jones thought he was going to move out of the way, or maybe didn't even see him. At the last second, Mike Tomlin. I was thinking about the extension for Texas A&M. Mike Tomlin, jumps out of the way at the last second, slows Jones down, and he ends up being tackled. What do you think of this move? Do you think this is, should he be fined for this? Do you think this is morally wrong? Or do you like him going for any edge you can get in a game like this?
I definitely think he should be fined. He's stepped onto the field. The replays clearly show that his foot is over the line and into the field. It reminded me of what the Jets did a few years ago in special teams. They were punished for it. Tomlin should definitely be fined for it. He has no right to go onto the field and try to stop the kick returner. He just can't do that.
No, I think there should be a minor fine here. Normally I'm a by the book guy. Just their rules, you follow him. However, I did appreciate him going for this sort of thing. Jones said himself after the game, I would have done the same thing. This is Steelers-Ravens. This is a rivalry. These are two teams that are right on the bubble, trying to scratch and claw their way for a playoff spot. You can do anything you can. I appreciate the sentiment behind it, but cheating is cheating. Come on. Tomlin should know better. And our last NFL topic, does this mean the Ravens could make the playoffs? It's a jumbled mess in the AFC playoff picture right now, but the Baltimore Ravens are the defending Super Bowl champions, and yet they have seemingly flown under the radar, but now they're 6-6. Flacco seems to be getting better. Can they make the playoffs, or is a team like the Jets going to jump in front of them?
They have to win on the road the rest of the year. Right now, they're 5-1 at home and 1-5 on the road. They have to win on the road in order to make the playoffs. If they don't win on the road, they're not making the playoffs.
No. Again, most teams have the issue of winning on the road. Take a look at the Ravens' schedule, though, for the rest of this season. It gives them hope. I'm not going to lie. The Ravens play at home against the Vikings, and that's when the hope stops. They have to play in Detroit, they play at home against the Patriots, and they play in Cincinnati. The Ravens play with heart. I think that they can win 3 of these last 4 games. I think that they can beat the Patriots, and I think if they really... I think it'll be a tougher task for them to win in Cincinnati. But I think they'll be able to defend their home turf against the Patriots. I think they can do it. I think they can do it. They've proven it last year. I have no reason to believe that they won't do it again. Sure, they've lost some guys, but I'm starting to see the old Ravens. The Ravens with just such passion and fire going out there, leaving it all on the field. I mean, they don't like war references, but they are battling it out really to the death. Not really, but you get the point. There is a fire in this team's eyes. So, do you think they will win on the road?
I think these remaining 4 games, I think they don't win any more than 2. They can beat the Vikings, but they're not going to beat Detroit, New England, and Cincinnati back to back. I say no more than win against two of those 3 teams. So at most they can go 9-7. I don't see them doing it. I don't see them winning the next 4 games to go to 10-6. I just don't see them doing it.
They're going to drop that game against the Lions, I think. If they beat the Patriots, they can beat the Bengals. That's what I think. And they can do it. They've proven it before.
I think that's true. They've won all their games by kicking. Justin Tucker has pretty much single-handedly carried the team the past 2 games.
And what's wrong with that?
And Pittsburgh.
Okay. Is there a problem? They're called special teams for a reason. They are special. Look what happened to Kate Foster today. Is there a problem with relying on your kicker if he's coming through?
I think that when you're playing better teams, though, you're not going to have the luxury of not converting on possessions and turning them into touchdowns. If you're having to settle for field goals every time out against teams like Detroit, New England, and Cincinnati, they're going to make you pay for it.
That's fair. They do have to learn to take advantage of those opportunities, but they're starting to turn around. They're getting W's on the board. They're gaining that confidence. They're gaining that swagger that they used to have, and I like their chances going forward. And so we move on to college football. What a crazy day it was. Thanksgiving is over, but we still have a lot more to be thankful for. We'll save the Iron Bowl best for last, because that was such a crazy game, and it needs to be talked about. But first, how about Ohio State, Michigan? A lot of emotion. A lot of people say it is the best game, best rivalry in college football. Ohio State comes away with the win in the end, 42-41. There's a lot to break down in this game. First, Brady Hoke goes for 2, down 1. Good call or bad call?
Well, I think that it was a tough call to make. I honestly think that it was a bad call because if you make that extra point with college overtime rules, you're guaranteed to get the ball back. But playing at home against Ohio State, I don't fault him for taking that risk. Just me personally, I would have just taken the extra point.
You go for it. In this, if you can't get 2 yards, you do not deserve to win. It's a lot easier to get 2 yards than win in overtime against Ohio State. If you look at it that way, it's simple. And Ohio State's one of the best teams in the nation. I believe it's something like out of the last 70 possessions in the red zone, they've scored touchdowns on 60 of them. They would thrive in this overtime environment. They would have the momentum, really. Michigan's got to go for 2 there, because Ohio State's the better team. It's a lot easier to get 2 yards there. I liked Hoke going for it. I think this was the right call. I mean, do you really think that would have been easier for them to win in overtime against Ohio State than it would have been to get 2 yards?
I think it obviously would have been easier for them to get that 2-point conversion. But just me personally, I was thinking as a coach would, I would be conservative in that situation and just play for sure, knowing that you're going to get the ball in overtime. Michigan couldn't stop Ohio State's run, but Ohio State couldn't stop Michigan's passing. So I think it would have been a very competitive overtime.
Oh, the whole game was competitive. and you have to compete. You are giving an opportunity to compete in one of the biggest games of your coaching career. You can ruin Ohio State's season. These teams do not like each other at all whatsoever. If you can't get 2 yards, you don't deserve to win. Good thinking from Hoke. I liked it. But clearly, in the end, Ohio State won this game because they deserved to win. But there is more to just the final score in this game. These teams won't even refer to each other by name. The entire state of Ohio refused to use the letter M. Do you like good or bad? They would not use the letter M in any of their sentences. They called it the Michigan Gate. You think it's stupid, or do you like the school spirit?
I like it. It really shows the rivalry between these two schools. I mean, this is the 110th game between Ohio State and Michigan. It's just a crazy rivalry. Every year you know that this is going to be a good game.
Yeah, nothing says rivalry week like not pronouncing a letter of the alphabet. Come on. Listen, I like the rivalry, and maybe it's because I'm not part of it, but here's what you should be doing during rivalry week. Go over the top in preparing to beat Michigan. Not go over the top to make sure you call them Michigan. It's not using your time wisely. It's stupid. It's not cool. I get you're trying to rally it up, but seriously, are you really offending anybody by not using the letter M? My name's Jay. My name starts with the J. I'm not going to be hurt or take any offense if people go out of their way not to use the letter J. I'd laugh because they'd be struggling to and not be talking like a normal human being.
It's a good point you bring up there, but the Ohio State team isn't the one that came up with this idea. It was the Ohio governor. So I think that you can't blame it on Ohio State's lack of preparation for Michigan.
True.
I think it was just Michigan played a great game, and Ohio State, they got lucky. They pulled this one out.
Yeah, there was no lack of preparation here. I just think it's a stupid tradition. I just don't like it. I mean, pronounce your letter N's. You're not really hurting any Michigan fans' feelings. You're hurting their feelings by going out there and winning. And it's a good thing that they did go out there and win. Speaking of hurting, first half, punches were thrown, ejections were made, fingers were raised, and not ones that were appealing to the Michigan crowd. What do you make of this whole thing?
Terrible. You can't let your emotions get the best of you, especially in a game like this. It's the game that you prepare all year for, and then in the second quarter you get ejected. It must be a major letdown, not only for you, but your team. Especially, too, Ohio State lost one of their starting offensive linemen to this. And, Michigan just lost a special teams linebacker. It was just letting their emotions get the best of you, and it was just ugly to watch.
Listen, this was passion, this was emotion, this was college football. I don't like it when the punches are thrown, but you can see the passion. It ignites both sides. It makes it all that much better. And you know what? If that fight didn't happen, I don't think we would have had as good of a game. You can't let your emotions get the best of you. I mean, clearly not pronouncing the letter M was not enough to really release the wrath of Ohio State. I just don't... I understand where people are coming from when they say that this is bad for the game, but this was college football at its finest, even when it's ugly. Because that's the sport of football. It's beautiful to watch, but it is ugly. These are people colliding into each other, hurting each other. This is a collision sport. But when you let all that passion out, you show everyone how much it means to you. You're not trying to beat them up, but you know what? You're getting on each other's nerves. The problem was when he gave the entire crowd the double bird on the way out. That was stupid. You're on the rise. Scouts loved him. This was really going to be the beginning of his move up on the draft boards. The one red flag was his attitude, and flipping off over 100,000 people in a stadium doesn't exactly help that. That's where I think the emotions really hurt them.
I 100% agree with that. That was just why. There was really no point. You've already been ejected, and just do that. I wouldn't be surprised if the NCAA suspended him for the first part of the Big Ten conference championship game.
And that's the thoughtless behavior you can't do. First, the NCAA will suspend anybody for anything. So suspensions isn't that big a deal anymore. If you want to sign someone an autograph and make them pay for it, they will suspend you. If you want to throw a birthday party and charge people, they will suspend you. So they're not afraid of suspensions. It wouldn't surprise me. It was thoughtless. But again, that was fun to watch the passion spill over. UCLA USC. A big victory tonight for my Bruins. I never thought that it would be UCLA who came through for me and not Green Bay in football. And yet here we are. Huge win for the Bruins. This is our town. The throne of Los Angeles is rightfully retained, as Brett Hundley said it himself. UCLA runs Los Angeles. Everyone knows it. Let's go. What are your thoughts from this game?
Well, clearly UCLA just completely outplayed SC. I mean, you're playing well when you have two defensive players score your first two touchdowns. I mean, I think that just UCLA is just such a great team with all the depth that they have at Miles Jack. Like, who expected Eddie Vanderdoes to rush for a touchdown? I mean, those are two freshmen that have extremely bright futures, not only at UCLA, but I think eventually in the NFL. And then Anthony Barr, he's just been climbing up those draft boards, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went ahead of Jadeveon Clowney. He's just completely outplayed Jadeveon Clowney this year, forcing a fumble from Kessler. He's playing well, and Cassius Marsh, too.
Yeah.
He really stood out to me. He always seemed to be in on the play, in on the tackle, whether it was a sack, tackle for a loss, tackle on a run. He was all over the field.
I tend to be a little too optimistic when it comes to sports, and a lot of people are going to say that for me, still thinking the Packers are going to make the playoffs and Carolina's going to lose their final 4 games. But I really thought we were losing this game. I thought USC had the momentum, USC was at home. I don't really think UCLA was going to want it enough, and especially with the weak offensive line. And boy, did they prove me wrong, and I've never been so happy to be wrong in my life. Anthony Barr is a monster, but tonight's belonged to Cassius Marsh. 6 tackles, 2 sacks, and a recovered fumble in the fourth quarter. That's all you need. This was the big game, and he showed up to play. All of UCLA showed up to play. So the question for USC is this. Does Ed Orgeron remain your head coach, or do you try and go out and hire someone like Jack Del Rio?
If I was USC, I'm to Coach O. I mean, he left them to. They were 6-2 with him. He's a great coach, great motivator. Really inspires the team. So I think that they should keep him as head coach. Even though I can't stand SC, I think that they should keep him.
If we're talking about what is best for SC, I agree. This team is rallied behind Coach O. They have faith in him. They want him to stay. And I think AD Pat Hayden should listen to these calls. The players support it. When you have a coach on the player's side and you have that trust that takes a long time to work for and has experience in the system, you can't take that away. It's not going to be the same if you get someone like Jack Del Rio. And I think that they should keep Coach. One last thing about the Battle for the Victory Bell and spot in the Holiday Bowl, because nothing says ha-ha in your face like playing for a game sponsored by Bridgepoint Education. I think the winner actually gets free tickets, like some Tijuana bullfighting. Oh, whatever. The wonder that is college bowls. Dayton Jones, first-round pick out of UCLA for the Green Bay Packers, tweeted a picture of him standing over Matt Barkley saying, what was it? I almost forgot. I had it right on my mind. He said it was basically one of the highlights of his career, and then actually tagged USC football in it. An hour later, Matt Barkley fired back, and you clearly did not have many highlights of your career. You haven't done much. Hashtag 50-0. To be honest, I mean, this is really close to home for me. Dayton Jones, a Bruin, and a Packer. I didn't like this. If you're hurting him, he's injured on the ground, and this is a highlight of your career? What do you think on this one?
I think that I mean, he did delete the tweet. I think that was taking it a little too far. You play the game, but you don't wish injury on anyone. I just don't. I don't think that it was cool to Tom Jones.
Yeah, well, UCLA wins the battle for the victory bell and the battle for Los Angeles once again. And then this happened. Alabama, Auburn. I will let Rod Bramblett of the Auburn's radio announcer take this one away because it is such a great call. This is going to give you chills for quite some time. And I can't even imagine what it's like to be an Auburn fan. What a great game this was. For those of you who didn't see it, well, first of all, look it up now. And I feel very sorry for you for missing this. Second, what happened was Cade Foster of Alabama had missed 3 field goals. It was a tie game. Alabama looked to have run it out of bounds. They handed it off on 3rd down. They got into very long field goal range. And it looks like they got out of bounds. Clock said 0-0. We're going to overtime. Upon further review, they actually put a second back on the clock. Now, when we thought he was going to go for a Hail Mary, they decided to kick a 57-yard field goal to win with a redshirt freshman kicker who'd only kicked 2 field goals in his life before. And then the impossible happened.
56-yarder. Does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards. They're not going to keep him off the field tonight. Holy cow.
How about that? Jared, first of all, can you think of any other game, any sport that you have watched live that had a crazier finish than this?
Best ending I've ever seen in any sport. Unbelievable, especially in this game like this. The Iron Bowl, national title hopes on the line, and then they come in. This kicker had been nailing 60-yarders in practice. He kicks it up, and who would have expected that it would have been returned? I think that the problem was Alabama had its offensive line on the field. So, of course, they're not going to catch up to Chris Davis. So as soon as he caught that ball, he's off to the races and he's gone.
I've watched some pretty crazy games live. I remember as a kid, UCLA against Gonzaga, Gus Johnson screaming Heartbreak City. That still gives me more goosebumps than any other sports moment. I remember watching Arizona get that Hail Mary over Minnesota and Paul Allen screaming, "That's impossible." Minnesota did not make the playoffs, the Packers did because Arizona completed that Hail Mary. I remember as a 6-year-old sitting in a blanket at midnight, watching Derek Fisher hit that .4 shot. This broke a 9-year streak of new record. Craziest game I've ever seen live. This was unbelievable. This was absolutely incredible. But there were a lot of things that led up to this moment. First, do you like the pick to go from 57 yards?
I actually do. I mean, the chances of him making that field goal are higher than the chances of completing the Hail Mary. So I think that it was a risk worth taking, and I don't think anyone could have expected that.
In hindsight, it's easy to say to throw the Hail Mary. You do. There's just too much pressure. There's too much on the line. You're going to put in a redshirt freshman who's only kicked 2 field goals before in his life from 57. Most pros struggle for making it from 57 yards. And you think this kid's going to make it? You have to throw it up. You have to be prepared for every scenario. And this was something that Nick Saban let slide. And he's going to pay for it. And he has paid for it. And big congrats to Auburn. I'm telling you, though, you have to throw the Hail Mary there. Did you really think he was going to make that? You had a lot better chance of winning in overtime than making that field goal.
I don't know. I mean, especially, too, one of the main problems is Cade Foster missing 3 field goals. If he makes one of them, they win the game. And then when they go for it on 4th and 1 in field goal range in Auburn territory, don't get it. Just too many mistakes from Saban, really uncharacteristic. And I think on that field goal, I can't fault his decision because if they went for the Hail Mary and it was intercepted in return for a touchdown, they could have said, why didn't you kick the field goal? So I think it was a tough decision for Saban to make.
I just no. No one's gonna be like, why did you not kick it from 57 with the guy who's missed 3 field goals already? Or why did you not kick it with a redshirt freshman? This was him going out on a limb, and he has paid the price for it. And one more thing about Cade Foster, I'm gonna go easy on him because the treatment he's getting has been ridiculous, and that brings us to another edition of Rookies Rant. Players still play in a game. We pour a lot of heart and soul into football and all sports. But at the end of the day, it is still a game. People have gone way too far. Remember when Boise State's kicker missed a field goal in overtime against Nevada? Nevada won the Mountain West, I believe, championship. Boise State did not go to the BCS, and they actually ended up in the Las Vegas Bowl. He was sent death threats. He was pretty scared. And then this happens. Right after the game, Cade Foster changed his Twitter handle and his profile picture because of all the death threats. He was getting death threats. A man tweeted him, drink bleach, die, I'm coming. Got death. I don't care how much this game means to you. You don't do this sort of stuff. You are sane people. Do you care a lot about the game? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean you're going to tell a kid in college to go die and drink bleach and threaten to kill his family because he had an off night. By the way, this kid's a good kicker, too. This was an off night. And whether or not he's a good kicker, way out of line. Way out of line. Shame on Alabama again and again and again. Enough people don't like Alabama already. This isn't helping things at all. So you know what? I'm going easy on Cade Foster. I'm sorry for him for having a bad night. This is terrible. And I think anyone who tweeted him this stuff should be ashamed of themselves. And not to generalize this is all about Alabama students. Because there are people who did come to his side. Someone tweeted, you can't attack Cade Foster and then turn around and call yourself a true fan. You support your team no matter what happens. Still a brilliant athlete. I'll always support both him and my team. People are seriously sending Cade Foster death threats. That's sorry. He had a bad game. Support your players. If you're a real fan and you're real passionate, you stand by your team through the good, through the bad, and you do not tell them to die. Shameless, sorry, and I continue to lose faith in humanity when stuff like this happens.
I definitely agree because it's just unacceptable. I mean, he, up until that game, he only missed 1 field goal. And even if he did miss all those field goals, you can't just be sending people death threats. And then this has happened too much over players having bad games. With all these social media sites, they just go on there, they rant, they threaten the player, they threaten the player's family. I think you got to separate between on-field and off-field. And it's just classless fans. It's not just Alabama fans. It's all sports fans that's begun to do this, and it's a major problem that we're beginning to have. And we haven't even seen the worst of it yet.
Oh, yeah, it's true. You know, there are people who are talking about, like, they don't even want to... They don't care about fantasy football anymore. I believe this happened to... Was it Brandon Jacobs? Yeah, Brandon Jacobs got some threats from some guy. Said, if you don't have a great week, I'm going to kill you because I need you for my fantasy team. Like, what are you doing? Don't... I mean, it goes without saying not to tell people to tell them to kill you. But for reasons like this, too, so petty, so What are people gonna think of you? It's a rant that didn't need to be said, but still should be said, because it might be overlooked, and it's something that can't be overlooked, and people need to cool down. Social media, and gosh, I'm gonna sound like every 8th grade teacher you've ever had. But it's true. You gotta use the 3-3-3 rule. How are you gonna feel about this in 3 days? How about 3 months? How about 3 years? Because I'm sure these are some good people tweeting these things, but they're just pissed. And it's shameful that this is the mark that they've left on themselves, but I can't feel sorry for them, because they need to know better. And it's just shameful. Continuing with the college football segment, though, so with this Auburn win, they're going to go on to the SEC Championship to play Missouri, who, by the way, last year had a combined record in the SEC of 2-14. Insane. There are people considering Auburn leapfrogging Ohio State. Should Auburn leapfrog Ohio State?
Definitely not. If you have 2 undefeated teams in AQ conferences, you can't jump over them. That's why I think the playoff is going to be so great next year, is that you're going to have the top 4 teams. So you'd have right now Bama, Auburn, Ohio State, and FSU in a 4-team playoff. And I think that would create a lot of excitement. But I think that you can't leapfrog 2 undefeated teams like that. It's not fair to them.
It's just terrible. Come on. This would be travesty. This would be the single biggest disappointment the BCS has ever delivered if Auburn goes on. What more can Ohio State do? They are in an automatic qualifying conference. They are in the Big Ten. This is a Power 6 conference, and they've gone undefeated. ESPN recently did a poll a couple hours ago. 53% of America said Ohio State. 47% said Auburn. 47%. Now, I just don't understand what more Ohio State's supposed to do. Auburn lost a game. Ohio State did not. If Ohio State loses to Michigan State, which I don't think will happen, then it's a different story. But right now, there is still a 0 in the loss column for Florida State, and there's a 0 in the loss column for Ohio State, and this would be the biggest travesty and mistake the BCS ever makes if they send Auburn over Ohio State. In the Heisman battle, it seems like less and less people want it. Johnny Manziel struggles again. Jameis Winston has definitely had some off-the-field problems, which we talked about on Tuesday. Mariota's been struggling. And then, sitting in the corner, setting more and more records, he broke his own FBS record for most rushing yards in a game by a quarterback, is Jordan Lynch. Bryce Petty struggled. This has completely been opened up. There's the running back from Boston College, Andre Williams. He just got injured today. Who will win and who should win?
I think it's a tough one. I really think that Jameis should win. I mean, Jordan Lynch has played well, but the defenses that he's playing against are nowhere near as good the defenses that Jameis is playing against. Sure, they both played well, but I gotta go with Jameis.
But played well? Jordan Lynch has played well. Jordan Lynch has shattered records. This guy is a top 10 rusher in the country, and he's a quarterback. He has put Northern Illinois on the map. People actually care about Northern Illinois football now. He could bring them to a BCS bowl game for the 2nd year in a row. So who should win? Absolutely Jordan Lynch. Who will win? Jameis Winston. And here's why I think he should not win. With this speculation going around, if it turns out to be true, which more and more suggests that it will be true, and he's also been questioned about, being in a BB gun fight or something. This is a bad name for college football. Football players already have enough of a bad stereotype. You don't want the single most important award in college football to go to someone who might be in jail a month or two from now. Bad reputation, and for the sake of college football, do not put that ballot in for Jameis Winston. And if they do, because it turns out when they when they will supposedly prosecute him, it'll be after the Heisman ballots have been cast. At this point, I would vote for Winston. Well, no, I would vote for Lynch, but I think people will vote for Winston. However, I feel like there needs to be a change. He should be disqualified if something should happen before the Heisman is announced. Because it's just not right. It's bad for the sport. So there's no way he should win. You disagree or agree?
Well, I kind of agree there. There is the if you go just by on field, he definitely should win. But it's all right now about that case. If no charges are filed before the Heisman vote, I mean, Jameis has played out of his mind this year on the field.
Lynch is not winning.
He's thrown 32 touchdown passes with 7 interceptions, 3,000 yards.
Jordan Lynch
70% percentage
is not going to win the Heisman. He's not. I just don't have enough faith in that media at this point. I don't think he plays for a high enough profile team, and I don't think people will take his the games he's played in seriously enough, and I think it's a shame. We do have to slowly start to wrap things up here. We do have a little under 9 minutes to go, so we will quickly speed through our NBA segment. 3 topics. We had to pick and choose our battles, and NBA drew the short end of the stick, but here we go. Jason Kidd, I'm sorry. We have to talk about what Jason Kidd did. Told Tyshawn Taylor to hit him so that he would drop his drink, air quotes, by accident, and he would get a chance to drop a play. Luckily, the Lakers players followed the players into the huddle, and they couldn't really draw up a play. The Nets had no timeouts left. It was a close game. The Lakers did end up winning by 5 points, and Kidd was fined $50,000. Deadspin later joked in a headline that this was the best coaching Jason Kidd has done all year. So again, much like Tomlin, do you appreciate the sentiment behind this, or is this again breaking the rules and flat out cheating?
Well, it's clever, but it's breaking the rules. I mean, it's obviously not a good decision. What surprised me most is just the whole year. The Nets have struggled. Jason Kidd has not done a good job controlling his players as the head coach. I think anytime you hire a player as a head coach immediately after they retire, it's just problematic. And even though he is a great basketball mind, he's not really coaching right now. It's pretty much Lawrence Frank doing the offense, and then they have another assistant coach doing the defense. So Kidd isn't really exactly doing anything, and they're 3-12 right now, so it's just not looking good.
Jason Kidd was actually on the floor as a player at this point, so it was ironic to see that. Clever, yes, but again, shameless. Come on, if this is the stuff you're resorting to, there are rules of the game. This is different with Tomlin, because with Tomlin. Tomlin's jumping out of the way. He's not deliberately breaking the rules. He is being sort of clever, trying to be somewhat discreet as possible. It's not like he just stood there and tackled him. This is completely different. Jason Kidd is completely breaking the rules. You can't buy yourself another timeout by spilling stuff in the court. $50,000 is an absolutely appropriate fine. I know we're having some tough connection here. To be honest, I'm surprised it's gone this smoothly at this point in the show. Jared, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Alright, yeah, sorry about that. So, quick answer. $50,000. Appropriate fine or a little too harsh? Or not enough?
I say it's a little bit too harsh. I mean, that's pretty expensive soda. I say maybe $5,000 to $25,000 at most. I think just $50,000 for that is just. He did break the rules, but that's just an outrageous fine. I mean, if you look at it like the flopping penalties, you get $5,000 for a flop. So I think something maybe a little bit more than that would have been better. But I think that $50,000 is just too harsh.
A flop is deception to gain competitive advantage, and I do not like flopping. But that's different than outright interrupting a game so you could draw up an extra play. Have you no shame, Jason Kidd? Find a way to win games the right way, or don't win them at all. To be honest, the Nets never should have fired Avery Johnson in the first place last year. This is just... Jason Kidd's not exactly the guy you want to set an example for your players. He's had a lot of brush-ups with the law and his, women in his life. I don't really think he belongs in that locker room. And I think it's just another example. The Oklahoma City Thunder had some nice statement wins, snapping Portland's big winning streak. I'm sorry, they did not do that. What they did do, however, was beat the Spurs. I want to say yes, they beat the Spurs. And Russell Westbrook hit a crazy buzzer beater to defeat the Golden State Warriors. So, are the Thunder the new favorites to win it in the West, or are the Blazers still on top?
Well, I think going into the season, the Thunder were favorites to win the West. And I mean, they have played really well. I mean, they haven't lost at home yet. They've struggled on the road, but they're dominating the Western Conference. They're dominating their division. They're beating teams by 5 points a game. They've won 6 in a row, 8-2 in their last 10. They're a solid team, and they can definitely win the West. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook are just a great duo, unstoppable together.
I did not know it was possible for a team with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook to fly under the radar. Yeah, that's exactly what the Thunder are doing. And to be honest, I don't think that's too bad. I picked Thunder at the beginning of the year to win it all, and they're looking so good so far. So I have a little bit of a biased view on this one, but yeah, I do think that they're the favorites to win it all. In our last topic of the night before we move on to the awards ceremony, would Cleveland accept LeBron again, and should Cleveland accept LeBron again?
Ooh. I think that they should not accept him after the way that he left Cleveland, national television, the decision. But I think that they would accept them. Anytime you get the best player in basketball to come to your team, you're going to be happy. But if I'm LeBron, I wouldn't be going back to Cleveland. Because the same thing, when he leaves Miami, all these people in Miami are going to hate him.
Oh, they don't care in Miami. They don't. But LeBron wasn't leaving Miami. Miami's leaving him. Have you seen the fans in the Game 6 of the NBA Finals? Please. This is completely different. I think that, first of all, Cleveland should accept LeBron, and I think that they would. I think that this would be an offer of forgiveness. If Dan Gilbert doesn't try and burn him at the stake because of the maniac that he is, they will accept him. They should accept him, and they deserve. So, I think they would. I think they would. I think they should. And you know what? I would gain a lot more respect for LeBron if he came back to Cleveland after he disrespected them the way they did. Kyrie, LeBron, Dion Waiters, and the way they're playing this year, by the way, so far, means they're going to get another good draft pick. This could be one of the best teams we will ever see if LeBron comes there. I think LeBron should go there.
I don't know, but I mean, they are shopping Dion Waiters right now. But I think I just don't see LeBron going back to Cleveland. I just don't think it's a good move. I think he's either going to stay with Miami or possibly go to one of the LA teams.
Oh my God. If LeBron went to the Clippers, I don't know how much more hate I could have for the Clippers unless LeBron came. If LeBron goes to the Clippers, oh my God, I don't even know anymore. Well, there you go. That's a pretty scary thought to end the show. Live from Mexico, it's been episode 19 of Rookies Roundup. Thank you so much for joining, and now we do our awards ceremony. Our MVP's got to go to Oregon State junior kicker Trevor Romaine. Have you seen this guy's beard? Duck Dynasty style. This is not exactly what a kicker be expected to look like, and yet this is what he looks like. He was actually walking around in warm-ups, Civil War game, shirtless, in white sunglasses, with a weird, manicured torso, if you will. He said he was going for the quote-unquote bikini look. Just look up Oregon State kicker. It's fantastic. If Duck Dynasty played at Oregon State, they would pretty much look like this. Our facepalm. Listen, I really thought I was going with Florida after their offensive linemen were blocking each other for the second week in a row, and yet Kanye West found a way to beat this out. Kanye West said that he's the reason Air Jordans are still popular, that he and his mentor... I don't like egos. If you listen to the show, you know that. You can imagine how I feel about Kanye West. What a megalomaniac. Just crazy. The reason Air Jordans are popular is because, I don't know, Jordan? Is it Michael Jordan? Just because you wear things... Kanye West is not sports related. I'm going to do everything I can not to go on a rant about him, but this guy is out of control. He's got to stop. Please, just get off this cloud that you've created for yourself. And I think something's going on at a concert he had tonight. Something was wrong with the lighting, and I think he started the concert over. I'm not sure. I can't exactly confirm this, but let's just look it up. See what we've got going on. But yes, Kanye West is our facepalm of the night for his comments. Just completely out of line. But, what else is new? You learn to expect this stuff from Kanye West. It's really shameless, this guy. Get off your high horse. And great job, by the way, from Seth Rogen and James Franco for that parody they did, Bound 2, Bound 3. That was fantastic. That this guy calls himself a god, then I think a lot more people need to convert to atheism. I mean, just out of control. And lastly, our sympathy vote goes to this poor, unsuspecting basketball fan. An errant pass from Gerald Henderson went to the stands and smacked him right in the head. Look alive, especially when you're at a Bobcats theme. You can never know what happened. Jared, thank you so much for being on the show. I know this was kind of last minute, but I do appreciate it. Any last words?
Just thank you so much. It's been fun. And go Pats.
Oh, God. Patriots fans, I swear. Whatever. At least they're not Kanye West. Thank you for being here, Jared. You can come back anytime. Thank you for listening in. I think it's time for me to go. At this point, a little over an hour into the show, our 19th episode, live from Mexico, international. We could say that we went on an international tour, technically, because we went on, one destination outside of the United States. Great show. Looking forward to a great day of football tomorrow. Please like our Facebook page, share, tell the world, go Bruins, go Packers, you know the whole deal. Thank you again for listening. It does mean a lot. Check out National Sports. I've given you the information at the beginning of the show. And yes, any last words, perhaps? We will do more college basketball next time. And I know. Post on on our page the craziest finishes you can think of. We're thinking about maybe doing a countdown of the craziest finishes after this crazy Iron Bowl game. Just a great finish, great game. This is why you watch sports, and this is why we're thankful. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving break. We will see you next week for our 20th episode. We don't know what we're going to do yet, but we're going to try and make it as great as possible, like every other episode here. So, signing off from Cabo in Mexico and saying adios, I'm Jake Liker. Muchas gracias.